Hello everyone, and welcome to the April of 2024 installment of LouElla's Wine Explorers Club. My name is Noel Scher. I am the Director of Retail and Curator of the Wine Club here at LouElla. And on behalf of our whole team, I just want to thank you for supporting our small local business and going on this vinous adventure with us. Well, spring is about to be here in North Carolina, and we've got a great set of spring wines picked out for you this month. But first, before we get to the wines, a little bit of club news. This month is the first month of our new structure for the club, where we have a $50 monthly 2-bottle level and a $100 monthly 4-bottle level. So some of you will be getting 2 bottles, some 4. I'll let you know in the videos which wines you're getting. And if you're a $50 explorer and you want to try one of the other wines, no problem. Just let me know and we'll get you a bottle to try from the $100 set, of course, at the 20% off member price. Also, in case you missed it in last month's email, we've started our referral rewards program for club members. If you let a friend know about the club and they join up at any level, we'll thank you with a coupon for a wine flight that you can enjoy here at our wine bar at LouElla. So if you're enjoying the wine club, and we hope you are, share the joy. All right, well, without further ado, on to the wines. The first wine for April, which all wine explorers will be receiving, is the 2022 Lukashof Riesling Petnat from the Pfalz. The Pfalz is a region in Germany. In fact, it is the most south and eastern wine region in Germany. It's abutting directly against the border of France in many of its locations. In fact, the one time I visited the Pfalz, I was staying at a hotel and I needed to get some euro, and I asked the woman at the desk at the hotel where the nearest ATM was in town, and she told me that it was in France, which I thought sounded kind of insane, but then I realized it was literally around the corner. So we're talking about a part of Germany that is culturally very much like France as well, and shares a lot of the kind of mountainous geography of that part of France near Alsace. The Lukashof estate is a family estate established 50 years ago, now under the guidance of Christine Lukas and her husband. And the Rieslings of the Pfalz are quite different than the Rieslings of, say, the more famous ones from the Mosel. And specifically because in the Mosel, they have a soil type that is very, very rich in different types of slate. And that soil gives the Mosel wines a very specific minerality and a certain richness. In the Pfalz, the soil here is much more old volcanic soil, which and with glacial sediments, which give the wines kind of a firmer, leaner, more bracing style. Really great for making a petnat with. Now, petnat is sort of shorthand for pétillant nature, the French term for a lightly sparkling wine, which is bottle conditioned. So this wine is made very much like a champagne is. The fermentation of the wine finishes up in bottle, and any of the CO2, which is a natural byproduct of the fermentation process, gets trapped here in this bottle. Now, unlike a champagne, which is allowed to sit and rest during the second fermentation for years and years, developing a very rich and aggressive mousse or sparkle, petnats, the whole process doesn't go on for very long, maybe a few months, creating a very light style of sparkle to it. So it can get sealed just under a simple beer cap. It doesn't need the big heavy champagne cork to prevent it from popping open. I really enjoyed this petnat. It's a beautiful, delicious, totally dry expression of Riesling. Very crisp, a lot of green apple, and just a slight honey note. It is really the kind of the perfect wine for sitting out in the sunshine of North Carolina's spring. Normally on the shelf, this would be $34. Club members, this month you'll be receiving it for $27.20. And again, this is going out to both the $50 monthly and $100 monthly explorers. All right, I hope you enjoy it. The next wine will be included in the 4-pack for $100 monthly explorers. It's the 2022 Michel Alois Terre del Volturno Palagrello Bianco Caiati. As with a lot of Italian wines, there's a lot of words there to get through, but I'll explain to you what they all mean. Michel Alois is the name of the estate. The Alois family first came to this area, which is in Campania, very close to the city of Naples, as far back as the 15th century, when this family originally moved to southern Italy from Lombardia in the north. In fact, Michel, the current winemaker and head of this family estate, is the 11th member of the Alois family to grow and make wine in this property. They are specifically in the sub-zone called Caserta, a very mountainous area surrounding Naples, and Caiati, the name of this wine, is the name of one of the tallest peaks in the area, along the slopes of which these vineyards lie. And this wine is made from a very rare and atypical variety called Palagrello. Palagrello takes its name from a word palarel, my Italian is terrible, which is a local dialect for small ball. And that is because the grapes in the bunches of this particular variety are these little small round grapes, and that's why they name them that. These are vines that are planted back in 2002 to, once again, volcanic soils. Of course, this is around Naples. Mount Vesuvius, one of the most famous ancient volcanoes in the world, is nearby. This is a wine made in 100% stainless steel, and Palagrello is interesting. It's a lot of the white wines from this area, some of which you've had through the club, tend to be sort of waxy and rich. This one, because of the volcanic soil that it's on and the nature of the grape, has a lot more of a bright mineral, slightly saline character, but there's still that nice sort of melon and yellow stone fruits quality to it as well. I really loved this wine when I tasted it with the winemaker who was here in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and I knew right away I wanted to share it with you in the wine club. First of all, because it's a grape variety that you almost never see anywhere, and also because it was absolutely delicious and perfect for warm weather drinking. So, this wine normally would be $30 on our shelves, $24 for wine club members, and I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Cheers. The next wine, which will be included in the $100 4-pack, is one whose labels regular customers of LouElla will most likely recognize. This is the 2023 Raptor Ridge Willamette Valley Rosé of Pinot Noir. This is another wine that I really enjoyed and recently got to taste along with the winemaker. The winemaker from Raptor Ridge, Scott Schul, who's also the owner of the estate, was here a few weeks ago and showing us a full lineup of his wines, and the 2023 Rosé was among them. Just recently bottled and showing absolutely beautifully. As you know, I love Pinot Noir Rosé. I think we've had a few of them in the wine club selections over the last year. Pinot Noir, just among the grapes that make great rosés. I think it makes some of the most delicate, dry, pretty rosés. A lot of rosés can be a little bit on the fruity side for me. Sometimes, depending on the variety, the alcohol shows a little bit too much. But most Pinot Rosés, and this one in particular, strike a beautiful balance between a very subtle cherry fruit, really nice citrusy acidity, and they don't feel hot on the palate, which is something I always look for in a wine that doesn't show a lot of its alcohol in its finish. These were coming from vines that were planted around mid to late 90s when the Scholes started this estate. Much of their estate vines come from vines they planted where an ancient, very neglected orchard had been in the Willamette Valley, which they purchased. It had died off and they decided to replant it to grapevines. Interesting story. Scott Schul was, I think, a tech guy. He was a sort of hobbyist winemaker who sort of got more and more into it. A very interesting story. Certainly he had the means to start an estate, but clearly a lot of talent as well, which you know if you've tried the red that we have on the shelf here all the time. But for now, for the spring, we have his brand new, hot off the press, literally 2023 Pinot Noir Rosé. Normally this would be $31 on the shelf. Explorers, you're getting it for $24.80 this month. And as always, if you enjoyed this or any of the other wines and you'd like to get more bottles of it, just let me know. And as long as it's available, we can get more in for you at that club discount. Cheers. quick commercial break. This coming Tuesday, April 2nd, I'm going to be teaching the next in our wine class series. And this class is going to be Wine Tasting 101. If you've ever wondered when you're watching professional wine tasters do all that swirling, sipping, slurping, and kind of like making funny faces while they're assessing a wine and want to know what they're thinking, what they're looking for, what are the criteria that they're using to decide whether or not a wine is sound, good, excellent, something they want to sell to you, this is a great wine class to take. There's a few tickets left, probably about 10 tickets left, which are $65, and the class includes a tasting of 6 different wines from around the world that we'll taste together, and we'll talk about the process that I use and other tasters use to really dig down into a wine, figure out its component parts, and decide whether or not we think it's good. So if you haven't signed up for tickets for that yet, you can go to our website and order your tickets today. I hope I'll see you there. Your final wine for April, which will be in both the 2-pack and 4-pack selections for the month, is the 2020 Domaine Foncante Reserve La Demoiselle Corbière. So, Corbière is a region in southern France. It is one of the regions that lie along sort of the western half of the Mediterranean coast. And I've found the wines of Corbière to be some of the most underrated and overlooked wines coming from France. I think it's a region a lot of people haven't explored before. Now, there's probably a reason for this. For a long time, wines from this part of France were kind of mass-produced. The quality wasn't that great. But this domain Foncante, is really an extraordinary domain. You maybe will recognize it from their kind of more introductory wine with a black label that we've carried on our shelves. They make a fantastic rosé that I find year in and year out is one of the best rosés in the market every year. This is their reserve wine, which comes from the oldest vines in their property. This is an old property. This is the La Bouquerie family. Yves La Bouquerie and his son Bruno are now the current generation working these vines. But family owns this property since sometime in the 17th century. So this is another ancient, very, very long time family estate. Primarily it's Carignan, Grenache, and Mourvèdre are the grape varieties here. Carignan specifically is sort of the signature variety of Corbière. And Carignan, which is a grape that goes into a lot of southern French red blends, really is a kind of sauvage, kind of animalish, burly, darkly fruited grape that gives a lot of spice and savory notes to wines. And here it really takes central stage. As I said, these vines were planted in 1904. So at this point, for the 2020, they're like 116-year-old vines. And as you would imagine, this creates some pretty concentrated wine, which this is. So while some of the other wines this month were nice for casual drinking on their own or with light fare, this is definitely one to pop open when you're grilling some steaks, burgers, sausages, something with a lot of savory, hearty notes on the grill. This wine is aged first in concrete tank for 6 months, and then 60% of it is moved into French oak, most of it used, a little bit new, for 8 months to 12 months. But you don't get a lot of oakiness on this wine. You get a little bit of the oak tannin, and you get a good amount of tannin from the grapes themselves. But again, if you're having it with something kind of meaty, it's going to all meld together beautifully. Really fantastic wine. I was really blown away by it. Like I said, I've been drinking the Foncante wines for years, but I had never tried their reserve. So I was excited to try this, and it did not disappoint. This is another one that's $30 normally on the shelf. For Explorers this month, $24. All right, that is it for April. I hope you all enjoy these wines and enjoy these beautiful early days of spring, and that the pollen doesn't get to you too bad. And if you have any questions, as always, just send me an email at noel@LouEllaDurham.com. Happy to answer any questions. And of course, if you want to order any more of the wines, just let me know. All right, everyone, cheers. Look forward to talking to you in May.